Michael Chandler against Benson Henderson 2. You return to Connecticut to the Mohegan Sun Resort for this one. How excited are you about this fight?
I'm excited. I think it's criminal that this is not a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing. Other than that, I understand, Bellator, we've been avoiding the whole 5-round fight, 5 rounds for just main event guys. Saving these guys' careers for an extra year or two would be amazing. For these athletes. It gives them more opportunity and more time to make a lot of money. And so I think adding that 5-round main event status is really something that's just shaving years off the fighter's life. There's absolutely no reason for them to be fighting 5 rounds in main events. Don't get me wrong. I would like to see it, especially for fights like this, but not all main events need to be 5 rounds. There's some fights that, that I don't want to see 5 rounds of. I want to see 3, and once that happens, then maybe when they fight someone else, I'd like to see that 5-round fight. There's just certain fights that I would love to see 5-round fights, not all of them.
What's the difference for a fighter in terms of the toll on your body when you go to 5 rounds?
Enormous. You really have to figure your body out, throughout your camp. That's the thing, is it's not even so much the fight for 5 rounds, it's the camp for 5 rounds. It's an extra 2 rounds. It's an extra 2 rounds of sparring every time. It's an extra 2 rounds of grappling every time. It's an extra 2 rounds of jiu-jitsu every time. It's an extra 2 rounds of wrestling every time. It's an extra 2 rounds of mitt work every time. You're doing an extra, probably another extra 10 or 15 minutes of cardio every time. It's a lot. It's a lot to really to take in on your body. If you don't manage your body very well, you're going to fall victim to overtraining and then just being flat throughout your whole camp. And then once that happens, it's hard to really recover to get back on track for the actual fight. And I speak from experience in all these situations. Is after I won the title against Gilbert Melendez, I thought I had to train harder. Well, obviously everything I was doing was working, but I didn't see it that way. So I went out and started running more in the morning. I started doing sprints at night on the hills. I started, adding in extra bits and extra this and extra that. And there was no reason for it. I was already the champion doing what I was doing, but I felt like there was a need to add more because I was the champion. So then you take it to these guys. It's a main event. So what do? They train more. They run more. They do this, which they need to, but they have to do it in moderation. They have to know when. Okay, today I'm going to add 2 rounds of mitts because I feel like my striking wasn't as good in sparring last week. Today I'm going to add two more rounds of wrestling, like takedown defense or takedowns, because I couldn't get takedowns on so-and-so last week in sparring. There's things that you need to work on, and you focus more energy on that until you get it back to where you want it to be, to get the job done per the opponent. Yeah. And so there's a lot more wear and tear on your body if you don't manage your body properly.
Yeah, recovery is key in that pitch. That's really interesting about overtraining. Big John, talking about doing more, was telling us that he thinks that Benson has to start quicker in the rematch. Is that your sense of it, and how easy is that to do if you don't have that natural rhythm in you to come out fast?
That's always been my sense with Ben. That was the one thing when I fought Benson that I said for sure 100% he needs to make these adjustments. And what I meant by that is that that's always been the adjustment. When I watched tape on him, I knew that he was a slow starter. And so I needed to come out and be aggressive in the first 2 rounds. And I did, and I think the same thing, the thing is with him, he's been telling me for years now, right, since he signed with Bellator, I'm going to start fastest fight. He never does. But he needs to understand, like I said, this is a 3-round fight. And Michael Chandler proved in the first fight that he can get through 3 rounds, or I should say 2 rounds, but he can squeak through and win 2 rounds, 2 of the 3 rounds, without exerting too much energy or overexerting energy as well, and still be able to bear down and bite down on his mouthpiece, save himself in the third. Benson needs to get on him quickly, needs to get him to use a ton of energy in the first round. And if he does that, I think there's a good chance that Ben can beat him. But will he do it? He's been saying it for years. He was going to start fast, and I haven't seen him do it yet. So until he proves to me that he's going to start fast, I'm gonna have to lean towards Chandler. And as much as I'd like to see Benson, get after him. It's hard because he's fought his whole career one way. And as far as being a slower starter, and he's and credit to him that it was normally in 5-round fights because he was the champion or he was fighting for the championship or he was the main event. Yeah. And so that being taken away now, that doesn't give you the luxury of having a slow start.
What is that a physical thing or a psychological thing that he starts slowly? And can he? What would he do to change it? Would he warm up more before he goes in there, or?
I don't know. So there's a couple of things. It could be physical, and what I mean by it could be physical is that maybe he doesn't warm up as well. For years, I know a lot of guys that warm up for 35, 45 minutes in the back. I know guys and I know girls also that just like they hit the pad for maybe 1 or 2 minutes and they're done. So it really depends. I think maybe he gets a better warm up in the back and gets the juices flowing, and maybe that'll help increase him physically to get going once he gets out there. But I think with him, it's more mental. I think mentally, it's okay. Let's go. He wants that filling out process. Yeah. So he doesn't get clipped. Or he wants to see things in front of him. He wants the fight to develop in front of him. But that's what a smart fighter does. But in a 3-round fight, it's hard to do, especially against someone like Michael Chandler, who is fast, explosive, and who has the power and the explosiveness as well as the abilities to win the first round against anybody. But can Ben push into the point where he uses so much energy that he's able to take over the fight halfway through or the full second round or halfway through the second round to win him the rest of the fight? That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's an interesting component of the fight is, I suppose, the situation of Michael Chandler that he's going towards free agency. Does that add pressure to him, do you feel, particularly in the context of the coronavirus pandemic and everything that's going on?
Yeah, I think it adds a ton of pressure to him. I think, he's banking on himself. He's banking on himself. So we'll see. I think, look, fighting's already hard enough as it is. And I've been in that situation. I was in a situation with Tony Ferguson. Is 1 foot out already? Or are you planning on staying, but you're just waiting for the right numbers and you're hoping that this last win will give you the right numbers, that you want to see from the promotion? I don't know. The answer is to be, and only he knows the answer to that. Do I think that he has a good shot of getting what he wants if he has a dominant performance? Probably. I mean, it didn't help his stock that Patricio at 145 came up to 155 and took his title. That didn't help his argument. Losing to a 145-pound champion. Don't get me wrong, Patricio is definitely no slouch. We've seen that. So I don't know where he goes from there. There's a lot of things that only Michael Chandler can answer.